is that?
It's like a zoo, but the animals got out.
It's a research vessel, deep space model. They must have been collecting specimens.
One of the elements that I wanted to explore with the creatures is to try to remystify the Alien franchise.
Fascinating.
I want to go home now.
To bring in creatures who you don't know what they eat or how they breed, and each one can provide its own level of horror.
These are invasive species. We don't lock them down, they could escape. Then it will be too late.
The xenomorph in our series remains the most formidable and the most terrifying of the creatures. But also, our story is filled with creatures that we don't understand.
Jesus, something's on me. Huh? I can't see it.
Those little ticks, these things are nasty.
The tick is much like a human tick, except that it's large enough to consume all the blood in your body. We have a creature called the fly that vomits acid and slurps up what's left of you.
I love the fly because it suddenly makes these indestructible hybrids destructible.
It eats metals, alloys, minerals, and so if you're a synthetic creature like the hybrids, now you're a meal.
Oh my God, she's loose.
Who?
The eye.
So this is the eye mage. There have been both these amazing people who have been creating this monster on my face.
We did do this one shot where the camera was on my shoulder and it was my POV of the image attacking me, which was fun, but also I learned how heavy a camera was on that day as well.
It affects my brain and makes me incredibly aggressive.
I think the image is more terrifying than the xenomorph.
Xeno is really scary, but image freaks me out.
The image is what looks like a tentacled eyeball that basically pops the eye out of your head and attaches itself to your brain. It's hyper-intelligent and on some level may be the greatest threat to humanity.
Welcome to the world of facehuggers. There's a whole range of different puppets. They all do different things. We can play around with whatever Noah is wanting us to use on any given day. This is a more hero puppet facehugger. There's a whole bunch of cables that are driving all the different limbs and the iconic proboscis here, which is equally gross and cool at the same time. This is a very similar puppet, but it doesn't have the proboscis in it. We've set this up with a tail, you know, if we wanted to do a shot, let's say we want to actually see a facehugger attack somebody and wrap the tail around the neck, we would preset this around the actor's neck, have this on the face, and then shoot it in reverse. So they would pull off in one go, and then obviously when you put it forwards, it looks like it's actually attacked. This is what we call a comfort hugger. This is what we will put onto an actor's face to simulate that it's already been attacked. So you can see the open cavity in here for them to be able to breathe. You can see Joe here on a little air pump simulating the breathing. Hopefully by the time we go to shoot it, you know, they're happy for us to come on over and slap this on their face.
So this is our walking facehugger. It's got servos and a backpack that are tethered to each leg on the facehugger, so we can create really slow creeping walking animations, or we can manually puppet the legs and make it look like it's feeling around the environment.
These eggs, they're not like normal eggs. They start to hatch, and monsters come out.
We began to sculpt the egg, molding and casting the egg in several ways. We do cutting eggs, translucent eggs, POV eggs, and also animatronic. We take 4 people to operate the eggs. For the lip control, we use the radio control, and for the lip, we use the cable control.
They get brought back to the lab. It's Christmas for Boy. This is like his dream come true. And I get to walk in and stand in front of the eggs, and honestly, they are huge. Like, really, really big. This egg just starts to open. And there's no acting required. I was stood in front of it. I was like, oh my God. You know, I was quite scared.
Everything's practical. Everything's really moving, really in front of you. When you have these actual scenes where there's little creatures or monsters, those scenes make you giddy.
And it can be scary. You're filming down dark hallways and there's a monster behind you. There's really a monster behind you.
What kind of ship is this?
Science vessel, I think. Weyland-Yutani. Look at the size of that thing. I should have called you sick.
This is the biggest show I think that's ever come to Thailand. We're on 3 different studios, on 15 or 16 different sound stages at any one time.
Every set is a bit mind-blowing. It is quite wonderful to walk in and be a part of this world.
The amount of energy and effort that had been made to make it authentic, it's an incredible thing happening.
The first time I saw Alien, it really grabbed me, the use of spaces. The simple things like the startup routine of the Nostromo computer in the opening, panning silent shots, introducing the whole world of the show. I was fortunate enough to access a small amount of Disney archives, both behind-the-scenes photos and about half of the original working drawings done in 1978 and 79.
The Maginot ship that we've built is very much based on the original plans of the Nostromo.
Our ship in the Maginot is a Yutani spaceship. They have many of these ships, they design them all the same. So this is a different spaceship to the Nostromo, but the bridge is the same, it's a common component. And you'll see the same as our approach to design throughout the Maginot. Everything around the workstation was kept to be as accurate in terms of dressing. All of the screens in Alien are old TV screens. So we got hold of contemporary cathode ray tube TVs and put them in all of the key screens in here. We had to look very carefully at the surfaces, the way details were pulled out on the original and recreate what they were. So we're walking from the bridge into Mother, the main computer on the Nostromo and also the main computer in the Maginot.
The way they made it, it doesn't even feel like a set. I felt like I was actually walking into a real room in a spaceship.
I was proudest of our art department's work in this because we got the working drawings for this after we built them, but studying them really carefully, we got so many things right. We repeat as accurate as we can these sort of random flashing patterns. The type of keyboard that we used, there were no original keyboards of the same type, so we had to make up our own. Just like in the Nostromo, the computer station swings round to face the monitor. It's just an amazing thing to look at and be able to recreate. Designing spaceships, any space you have will be connected to a corridor that connects to another space. One of the most fun spaces to recreate from the Nostromo on the Maginot was the metal. It's where we meet the Nostromo crew. We just recreated the original working drawings. So this is a millimetrically accurate recreation of that set. This is the cryo chamber in the Maginot.
Hey, Mara, wake up.
We were able to produce the cryopods from the same drawings that they were built from for the 1979 movie. Because it was a bigger room, we had to kind of make up more of the room. I took a lot of the wall details that were in the much smaller space on the Nostromo, expanded them out.
Let's move.
In the mechanical corridor, we paid a lot of attention to the grime and the type of surface dressing. All of the mechanical components, they were taken from 60s and 50s aircraft, they were taken from scrapyards, pieces of car, different things that don't necessarily make sense, but together it creates a feeling.
We have a containment room that's much like an engine room that you see in the film, chains hanging from the ceiling. You know, it's very loyal on that level. But of course, the majority of the show doesn't take place in a Weyland-Yutani aesthetic. It takes place in a Prodigy Corporation aesthetic.
I think it's really difficult to balance that retro aspect that Noah's taken from the original films, but also propelling that into having that futuristic aspect. Because at the center of our story is this unbelievably advanced and sophisticated technology.
The composite Neverland set, it's a combination of domestic living spaces for our synths. It's got the medical bay. We also have a lobby and an atrium set.
I love the talking room. The beauty of that room mixed with the horror of what they're doing in that room.
The one that made me squeal the most is probably the secure lab. It's quite clinical, but that's where the eggs are.
This billionaire has built this Neverland community. It's state-of-the-art in his mind, but they have a real mold problem.
You think sci-fi and you think shiny, clean, and new, and instead it's like the Earth is trying to retake ownership.
And part of that is just to try to create a world that has this underlying sense of dread to it, even as they try to live in the sort of loftier dreams of the hybrid future. Biological reality rears its ugly head.
There's a sort of beautiful quality about wanting to make real this nostalgic memory we have of something that existed before.
In Alien, in the first movie, the production design is designed by people who are sort of my heroes growing up in the industry earlier. I feel very fortunate to have been allowed to recreate those spaces and use them again because it was just a lot of fun. Geeky fun, but fun.
I am responsible for getting this cargo back to Earth intact, whether or not the crew survives.
Episode 5 is a prequel that is about why the ship crashed, and it introduces us to the full crew of the Maginot.
Then chaos just ensues. It's just like one thing after another. We don't really have any time to process what's happening because it's just on to the next crisis. Kind of like what happens in the movies.
Episode 5 is a standalone movie.
2 people are dead. From now on, we travel in pairs.
Episode 5 has that character of the spaceship being trapped, a xenomorph, the crew slowly getting killed by the creatures. So I think that's gonna be a fan favorite.
Slime is gonna jump on him, right? Yeah. And then he's gonna look up, and then he's gonna see it.
Cut.
The first time I saw Alien was in my parents' house. No one else was watching TV. I was alone at night. I remember everything about it.
My cousin showed it to me in his basement, and I was like 12 years old, and he's, of course, like 17. He's like, yeah, I gotta come watch this movie, and yeah, it freaked me out.
The film Alien was not like any other science fiction that we'd seen. It was dark and murky and dripping. It's a very 70s movie in that it's a slow build, but that's a very deliberate choice.
The first one still, to me, is just magical. It's so stunningly beautiful and elegant. Performances are so amazing. It's just one of those perfect movies.
To read a script that feels in the vein, in the world, honoring that essence of Alien, but being original, it's just a gift.
For this show, a big goal of ours is for the audience to experience being immersed in the textures and aesthetic of Alien.
The way that it's lit, the actual sets that we're in, the slow pace of some of the camera work, and just a raw, understated grittiness.
The Maginot ship that we've built is very much based on the original plans of the Nostromo. Some of the elements, like the bridge, we've just increased the size of, but this mess hall that we're in is built basically to the exact specifications of the Nostromo.
When we're on the Weyland-Yutani ship, it's essentially like being in the first Alien movie. It's a retro future. It's a future as they saw it in the 70s, not the future as we see it now. So there's still a lot of buttons, a lot of buttons. A lot of green text and computers and all that. So there's this wonderful like nostalgia going on at the same time.
There's scenes reminiscent of the original movies where Sigourney Weaver's character is talking to Mother. And that room is so cool.
The first time I walked on, I couldn't believe it. We sat in all the chairs, pretended we were flying the ship. The only thing that was missing was actually being out of space.
Cameras are set, here we go, and action!
I have a history of doing these standalone episodes in Fargo, and I think it's ultimately very exciting and satisfying for the audience to be given this monster movie in the middle of a larger cinematic journey.
They want their monsters. Here they come.
What we were doing here, you and me, is exploding human potential.
I'm trying to be very specific in making the show.
Let's move up a little bit.
I'm trying to design something dark but also playful. And so the challenge was to design a world that still felt like it went in the Alien aesthetic.
Here we go!
This is a huge production. We have 8 episodes, but it really feels like 8 films. And absolutely everything is made. It's almost like doing a PhD in the world of Alien at the beginning. You've become a mini expert on the one aspect that you're contributing to make it feel as authentic as possible.
And 3, 2, 1, action!
When we're in Prodigy City, we're adding this sort of retro-futuristic tinge to it so that we place it somewhat in that first and second Alien timeline as an aesthetic. In that Yutani system of uniforms, there are definitely nods to the original in terms of colors and shapes.
Citrat is somebody who is always character-led when it comes to the design choices, so she's always advocating for the costumes to reflect the characters. And I've just had so many satisfying chats with her about what we were thinking, but it's also really visible in all of the other costumes as well. One of the things we spoke about was costumes that don't interfere with his ability to work, play, eat, like kind of pajama wear. Thinking about somebody who never switches off.
So here you are.
Finding that individuality has been so fun with Citrat. There's something in the costumes, they feel like they really hold you up. There's like a posture about them. Otherwise, there's the humanness of slouching around, but it like keeps you synthetic.
The clothes and the perfection of things within Neverland and for Boy K needs to feel different from the gritty reality of what's happening on Earth. And also to his security force, they look like they've seen a lot of action and they've seen better days.
Stage just gets better and better.
We have to talk to Noah, and then once we meet the actors and get what they look like, then we can adjust that and what we think they should look like for the show.
We came up with groups, different sects of ideas.
It's sort of a retro future, right? So it's lots of sideburns, moustaches, grey haircuts, and that sort of nostalgia and futurism.
I texted Noah, I was like, I think he should have a beard. Scientists in the 70s, they were kind of hippies.
Watch this.
For the TR6 guys, a little more hardcore military, but still keeping the 70s influence.
With the hair, Santa and Noah had an idea of me having this like Grace Jonesy kind of hair, and that's just my natural hair. So I was like, this is what I got, red hair. And she was so open, like, okay, let me pitch that to Noah and see what we can do.
Hey, we're having ice cream and we're talking.
For Lost Boys, sort of youthful, childlike 70s, trying to find 70s icons that we liken them to, maybe some characteristics or something feature-wise, and then we start to build up the characters that way.
Wendy, we kind of were basing on Sigourney, sort of that clean makeup look, and it's just her own strength comes through.
They're talking to me. I want to hear them. With Wendy's hair, we want to bring out something youthful and just let her natural, gorgeous, dark hair do its thing.
And then somebody like Boy K, who's a bit more wild and impulsive, he can be a bit more crazy looking.
New life forms with acid for blood.
Boy K, he was a really fun one to design. Got a little bit of the Dylan curl. And then for Hermit, we really wanted him to seem sweet and different than the rest of the TR6 gang.
What did the robot say yesterday?
I gotta serve out my contract.
So we're stuck with you.
The gray area between human and machine in this is blurry in different degrees with different characters. When you find out later, maybe you can go back and look at that and go, oh, that's why his sleeves are rolled up in a tab, or that's why that shirt is tucked in.
Especially like Morrow, he can sweat a lot, whereas Kirsch especially, he's kind of always pristine.
I was like, you know, maybe if we bleach his hair, bleach his eyebrows, people will be like, he doesn't seem human. I think we're hoping the hair takes care of it.
I love this 70s kind of aesthetic. That harkens back to the original, but kind of futuristic new age mixed with sci-fi.
I think people have this perception that sci-fi is always this complete invention, but the horror reverberates more strongly and is more potent because the humans are so grounded. Of course, there's the visual element, of course, there's the aesthetics, but to me, it has to come from somewhere else because it's an extension of character behavior. So working with Noah has been fantastic on that level for me because I can pitch these ideas and give him the backstory to how I've arrived at an aesthetic. Working with someone who's so intellectually invested in everything is a real gift.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joblo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.